The Apartment is the second episode of the 7th season of Full House. This is directed by John Tracy, and as always, there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode and share some thoughts. It's a really brilliant episode, really good fun, with some really great messages as well. And it starts off with Jesse playing with Nicky and Alex. Absolutely adorable. He's pretending to be sick and they're pretending to be doctors. Very cute intro. I'll talk about the bulk of the episode chronologically, but I'll talk about the subplots first of all, and then everything kind of ties together. Michelle is trying to find a hobby, and she decides to collect leaves and fills the bedroom with them. It looks great. Well, it looks messy, but it looks fantastic. And Jesse is cementing the driveway, and Joey is helping, and they end up singing The Addams Family. A lot of fun. Really enjoyed it. We'll come back to the cement in a little bit. The main narrative focuses on DJ. We learn at the beginning that Candace and Tony is married and having a baby, which Danny finds unbelievable because she's the same age as DJ. And then he finds out that Steve, now at college, has his own apartment. He wanted some independence. And reluctantly, Danny lets DJ go over, but she has to be back by 11. And we see DJ and Steve at the apartment. I like the room. It looks great. It looks very believable for somebody of Steve's age to have their own apartment. It's nothing fancy, but it works well enough, and it looks pretty realistic. And DJ and Steve are on the sofa. They're kissing. DJ turns the lights off. And then she stops and she says something just doesn't feel right. And I love the fact that Steve was cool with it. DJ admitted things were scary, so they could just slow things down. Steve had no problem, which is, I think, kind of what we expected from Steve. I think it would be very out of his character if he suddenly had an issue with this. So they just decide to sit down together and watch Terminator, which would be fine if they hadn't fallen asleep. DJ is not back by 11. Danny is frantic, and he phones Kimmy to try and get Steve's phone number. Kimmy, I think this might be the first time we saw Kimmy's bedroom. We don't see much of it. She's in bed, and it's kind of nice to see a little bit of that side of Kimmy when she's not at the Tanner's house. And she answers the phone, which is a shoe phone, which is not surprising for Kimmy. And Danny's frantic. He's really, really worried. Which I have to say, yes, on the one hand, it would be worrying if she didn't turn up on time. But at the same time, she's with Steve. It's not like she's out on the town or anything. I can understand his concern, but at the same time, maybe he was a little bit overreacting. It wasn't that much later than 11 o'clock. That being said, and this is much to DJ's credit, maybe because DJ is usually always on time and she never disobeys Danny, he is worried because it's unlike her, but that has to be in DJ's favour. So maybe he's overly concerned because it's unusual for her to not do something that he told her to do. So Danny could do well to remember that throughout the bulk of the episode. He gets the address. He goes over to Steve's. I feel like he should have had the address beforehand. That would have been a bit more believable for him letting DJ go over. So I think that was maybe a bit of an oversight. But he does finally get the address from Kimmy. And he looks through the window and sees them. And there's a clatter as he falls and breaks the chair. And of course that causes DJ and Steve to wake up. They realise it's after 11. They panic, of course. And how long was that film? The film was still on because we hear the Terminator saying, "I'll be back." And they must have started watching it. If DJ is a couple of hours late, that bit's a bit of an oversight as well, unless they decided to watch it more than once. Maybe they watched it, decided to rewind it and watched again. Otherwise, the passage of time there doesn't work. Maybe they started watching it and paused it and then finished it. But then at the same time, they still would have realised it was 11 o'clock. So that's also a bit of an oversight. That doesn't work in terms of the timeline, but overlooking that, everything else is fine. Of course, Danny tells DJ to get home, and he's basically shouting at her, way to make a commotion in the middle of the night when everybody else is trying to sleep, Danny, but he's shouting and getting really annoyed, and he's clearly very worried as well, and it's an unusual thing for us to see from Danny. It's not completely unheard of, but it's a different side, and there's a clear balance of anger and concern. And he goes home and tells DJ she's not allowed back in Steve's apartment. And Steve then comes over the next day, I assume. And what I did like is that Danny didn't say, "Go away." I like the fact that Danny didn't stop DJ from seeing Steve. He's just stopped her from going over to the apartment. And I think that was a very sensible decision. And Danny ends up vacuuming the house to try and spy on them. So DJ and Steve have to go into the cement truck for some privacy. And while they're in there, they start kissing. They're not paying attention. DJ puts her foot on the lever. And all we see for the second time in the show is that kitchen wall being broken down because the cement mixer smashes through the window and breaks everything and causes chaos. It's not the first time it's happened to that part of the set, and it is so funny. It is so well executed. Danny and Jesse come into the room at that moment. Danny doesn't see immediately, Jesse does, and what's particularly funny about this, it would have been just as funny, but the fact that Joey, with his back to the window, is listening to one of his relaxation tapes with his eyes closed at the kitchen table. So he is zoned out. And Danny and Jesse are frantic, running around him, trying to find something to catch the cement in. And Joey is just clueless. And it is so, so funny. I would have liked Joey to have come to, I guess, in that moment. I would have liked to have seen his reaction just at the end of Danny and Jesse running around. But we do later on see that that Joey is stuck in the cement because it's obviously hardened around his chair and his feet. So it was funny, but I would have liked to have seen him or his initial reaction when he realised what was happening. And then we have a heart-to-heart between Danny and DJ, and he has to realise that DJ isn't Kathy Santoni and that she is a lot more, dare I use the word sensible, precautious, and she's not going to get married and start a family straight away. She's being sensible, and we see this. And Danny even said he knows nothing happened because, as we saw, he looked through the window and he saw they were just sleeping. Presumably he saw them because he was quite high up. And it's a really moving moment, and we get some comedy there as well when the landlord, well, DJ said that the landlord said Danny owes $30 for the chair, which definitely seems quite excessive. But nevertheless, we get some comedy there, a really nice moment. I think there are some good messages here for whether you're Danny or DJ, and the main message is don't make out in a cement truck because goodness knows what's going to happen as a result. I really enjoyed this one. I think there are some really great takeaways. It's nice to see DJ growing up, getting some freedom, but it's nice to see her being sensible and being somebody on whom Danny can rely, apart from this first time when she kind of overslept. But at the same time, the timeline doesn't make much sense with them watching the tape and then being hours late, but also the tape is still playing. As I said, maybe they rewound it and started from the beginning and didn't realise the time. Either way, The Apartment is a brilliant episode of Full House, some really great messages, some great takeaways, and ultimately very funny. Personal highlight, absolutely the cement in the kitchen. It was fantastically done, and the episode as a whole is pretty brilliant.